Hello YouTube. Now this is going to be my reveal on my three things tag. Which one was the false one? I'm going to get to that, but I'm going to start with the fact that, and I got to look at his name here. Maciolek. It's M-A-C-I-O-L-E-K. Maciolek, 1980. Pointed out that my number one about being, or my number two, I should say, about arriving in Los Angeles ahead of the pilot in a 747 was incorrect because the landing gears are way aft of the cockpit, and people in the back part of the plane would have landed first. Never thought of that for some reason. I was always thinking of the configuration of the plane, and I'm going to stop this here just for a second and do a voiceover when I show you a picture of the front of the 747, and we'll go on with that. Hold on. Now here's the 747, and you can see up in the nose, the first window is actually where the first passenger seat is, and 8 rows back from that, actually I was in the second window, 7 rows back from that and straight up is where the cockpit is. So would you settle for I got into Los Angeles airspace before the pilot did? That's splitting hairs, but you're right. Of course, the passengers in the rear of the aircraft in the cheap seats would have been grounded before I would. Let's see. The other one was about being across Jefferson Boulevard. And I really hadn't remembered it that way. I was, though, at the 1960 convention on one day. As I said, I had been going to a journalism workshop for high school students at USC, and a bunch of us went across out of the campus, and we crossed Exposition Boulevard and Exposition Park to get to the Coliseum, where we did go to the very back of the stadium, to more than 100 yards from the dais, and honestly, now that I think back on it, I can't tell you for certain if Kennedy was even there that day. I always thought that he was, but what I remember was a silly song that they were singing, saying, "We're walking down to Washington to shake hands with President Kennedy," something like that. Some silly thing some ditty that they made up. And there was a lot of people speaking, and I wasn't able to see the faces of any of them. At that time, I would scarcely have been aware of who John F. Kennedy was. I was 17, going on 18, and actually, it may be just as well, as far as I'm concerned, that the voting age was 21, because I would have voted for Nixon if I'd had the chance to vote. And unfortunately, when I was 21 and more, and Nixon ran again, I did vote for him. Oh, it's horrifying to think back on that now. But I've grown older and wiser, or at least I hope wiser. Let's see. So the number one is true. Number two, I believed was true, and I'm still going with the airspace thing, so that's true. It's number three that's false, but it's not entirely false. That is to say, I actually was in a dinner theater production of The Music Man, but I didn't play Harold Hill. I knew the part as well, not as well as the guy who played it did. But my character was Marcellus Washburn, the one that those of you who saw the film saw Buddy Hackett play. And those of you who are old enough and lucky enough to have been in New York City to see the Broadway production would have seen a fellow named Iggy Wolfington play that part. I danced, believe it or not, I danced that Shipoopi number, which you can still see. By the way, if you look up The Music Man Shipoopi, there is a YouTube video of it showing Buddy Hackett doing that dance, where he just kicks up a little bit. Believe it or not, I actually kicked above my head. And I was a roundy then, just like now. Not quite as heavy as I am right now, however. But I did that number, a pretty energetic number at that. There's a story to tell about when I was doing that show. I had to get what we call dance rubber on my shoes so that I could do that number on this hardwood floor in the stage that they were using in the dinner theater. Without slipping and falling. And I went into one of these places where they repair shoes, and I just asked for dance rubber. And the guy behind the counter kind of looked me up and down and said, "You dance a lot, do you?" He just couldn't believe that somebody who looked like me would need dance rubber. But anyway, I actually was in that play, but I didn't play Harold Hill. And the woman who played Marion the Librarian really was at least a head taller than I. That's true of most people. That's it. That's the truth as I know it. And apparently my knowledge of my own history is limited to my faulty memory. But that's probably true of most of us. Thanks for watching, everybody.